DG, I'd propose that we start. We've already, we're live streaming this on YouTube, and then we'll share that on the social media platforms. Thank you.
Okay, I think we can start. Sorry, just give me a minute. Okay, sorry for that. My door was open. All right. I think we can start now. And good morning, guys. Good morning, everybody who's connected. This is basically a one-on-one conversation that it's part of a series of one-on-one conversations that we'll be having with young people in the public service who have been part of our emerging leaders in the public service program. We will share more information as we continue with the one-on-one session. So we're starting this, and I've assured my guest that there's no right or wrong. She must just be comfortable and be able to share what she wants to share about herself. If I were to introduce my guest, we have Jani Roux, who is currently employed as an industrial psychologist in the Department of Premier of the Western Cape government. Jani has been in the public sector since 2014. She started out with a graduate internship program for psychometry at the same component. She was fortunate to be successful in her application for a permanent position in 2016 as a psychometrist. She completed her master's studies in 2019, and in 2023, she successfully applied for her current role. Her passion for helping people understand and utilize their potential is what led her to study in the field of industrial psychology and continues to be one of her core interests. Through this, she is part of various projects focusing on people development and enablement in the province. So this is the young lady that we have today with us. Jani, I don't see her on the screen. Can she show herself?
I am
just
here.
my screen that is a problem.
Okay.
Maybe now I can see you. I see.
Hello.
Yes, certainly now. Now I can see you, Jani. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. We're at that point of the year where we're over the old versus new financial year hecticness. So I'm sure you guys can all relate to easing into the new one, starting with a new bag of interest and chaos that we might be facing for the new financial year.
And still wrapping the old one because annual report is not out yet. So we are still, even though we're not implementing from the old APP, but we're still pulling things together for the annual report, the audit, and etc. How nice it is to work for government. How is the Cape of Storms dealing with you?
The Cape of Storms is dealing with us in the way that it's basically famous for. At the moment, it was a level 9 warning. So it was a little bit hectic over the past few days. But hopefully by tomorrow, we're again at a little bit of a pleasanter autumn weather, but we'll see. We never know. It's so mercurial over here. We take it as it comes.
Yep. So let's start our chat. Jani, you are an industrial psychologist, according to your profile, and you are based in the office of the Premier in the Western Cape provincial government. What does this job entail?
So with the industrial psychology position, it's a little bit, let's say, intricate because there's various roles that we can play in our component. So I know each province has their different, let's say, collections or how they set up their departments. So I'm part of the Department of the Premier in the People Management branch, and I work in the department Transversal People Capacity Enablement. We recently went through a restructure and they decided to make our name basically impossible to say. And our core purpose is looking at working on culture through values, through competency-based types of assessments, in looking at how we can enable the employees of the government to function the best they can, or create the environment that enables that. So I'm part of the operational side, also doing psychometric assessments at a certain part of my role. But on another part, I'm working on leadership development, one of our flagship programs in the province. And then also working on competency design, which is very interesting how it fits into the professionalization framework we're going to discuss today. So many things, and basically filtering into where the need is for a people capacity and how we enable that or create that enabling environment.
I get a picture that you are not a public servant who is boxed in one small corner, doing one function there in the little corner.
Yes.
You seem to be highly engaged. Am I correct in that feeling?
Yes, DG. So we have the privilege in our function that we do have certain functions that are quite, let's say, set in terms of what needs to be done, what's been contracted, what's in the SOPs. For example, the assessment part is very related to that type of structure. Run of the mill, we do a certain function as part of recruitment and selection, but then the type of projects that we're pulled into changes based on the APP and also then the strategy that comes from TPSA. So very rewarding type of work that it does change every now and again. Can be very challenging because sometimes the changes happen quite quickly, but also the space to flex a little bit and go into different directions.
I've heard some of the public servants, when they are being given work that is not in their performance contracts or in a written document down, like pulling people into projects and expected to go an extra mile in terms of contributing in those projects. I've heard people sometimes saying, it's not my work, I'm not going to do it because this is how my contract looks like and this is how my job description looks like. So what do you have to say to those people?
So for me, DG, it's always interesting when people have that particular mindset, because breaking a job up into tasks of aspects that you need to do is very limiting in terms of how you might feed into the system and the value that you bring into the system as well. And seeing it so linear. Oh, it seems our host just had a little bit of a difficulty there. Seeing it as limiting as I only do A to B. You might also be open to doing C. It's almost like organically moving into those spaces. And becoming a public servant should be something that you feel proud of doing and you want to do more. You want to see how can I fit into providing that service? How can I link to adding value? But also for a little bit more self-serving, what do you want to grow into? What would help you grow? What would you get out of it in terms of your development? And if it means working a little bit harder, what's the payoff that you can get out of that in terms of experience and the knowledge that you gain?
Yeah. I always say the attitude matters. If you want to be successful in what you do, be it in the public service or private sector, or even you're doing your own thing, even if you are a student, your attitude matters. Because if your attitude is about you setting limits for yourself and blockages on your path, then you are not going to go far, and you are going to make it possible for people to identify your talent and support and nurture it to the next level. So I think that message is quite important. Then the second thing I just wanted to check with you is what attracted you to this career that you are busy with currently?
So there's a few things that actually attracted me initially. But the psychometry part was the first little bit that really got me interested, because I do enjoy data, working with information that has that concrete base where you can make decisions off of. And it fascinated me to have something as intangible as psychological aspects, your personality, your potential, your ability, your inclination for something, that you can make it measurable, to have that concrete type of information, and to also use that as part of the intelligence you bring into decisions and how you can help people with impact, not just, this is what I think, this is what I'm guessing, this is what I'm looking at, but really looking at the trends and the patterns that's coming through it. And then obviously, not obviously, a next step in terms of the psychometry profession is you can go into the psychologist level, which is a little bit broader. And there's a little bit of a higher strategic type of focus that you then bring into the type of work that you do, not only what I'm seeing now, but what could be the possibilities and what are we seeing as certain models that we can implement to almost action the data or the patterns that we're noticing. So that was the little nick that got me into it initially. And it's also still keeping me there, to be very honest.
Great. I want us to pick up this discussion a little bit later around how you see your profession and the career where you are currently contributing into conversations around the future of work in the public service. But we will come to that later. If I forget, you will remind me as well. Thank you.
I will.
So when I was introducing you earlier on, Jani, I said that you were part of the pilot cohort that we introduced about 2 years ago on focusing on emerging leaders in the public service. And we took you on a 9-month program, which we looked at some theoretical work in terms of leadership, the workshops that you had, leading self, leading others, being a resilient leader, being a courageous leader, and all those, that content that you went through. And then there was also been masterclasses that you attended as a group, and where you've had various discussions. But also the third component has been that of also having coaches who were supporting you on your journey, debriefing with you after each session of training online, and following up on those particular areas. And how did you experience the program?
So for me, initially, it was very daunting because it was the first time I actually had the opportunity to engage with people outside of the province that I work in. So it was very intimidating coming to Gauteng, sitting in those sessions, getting to know people. But then the structure of the program is what really kept me there, because I could see from my experience in terms of working in the field as well, but also looking at the content in terms of what it's building for my own skill set, that it's really starting at you, but zooming out to how you fit and can contribute to the organization as a leader or as a professional. It's not all of us are going to want to be managers or leaders later on, but how can we be informal leaders in the work that we do? And the most impactful part for me was the coaching sessions with our teams. We were the emerging leaders loading group, and we had a very nice flow in terms of our conversations. Very interesting meeting colleagues with the same passion for public service, different perspectives, unpacking the principles that we were getting in the course to practicalities that we're experiencing in our environments as well. And I think that was the key that I took away from the program. Is you can easily see this as an academic tick box. It was, oh, I learned about change management. Yes. I learned about conflict management. Fantastic. I got to know myself in terms of a certain assessment. But what do you take with you to your job now? How can you use that impactfully to grow even more, to change the attitude that you also mentioned, DG, in terms of how you fit into the system? So rewarding part was the smaller sessions for me. I think that's maybe my personal preference as well. I do like the smaller connects, and Coach Zona was very adept at taking us through it, but also pushing it back to, I'm not going to tell you what to think. What are you taking away from it? So I really appreciated that part of the program.
Who was your coach?
Coach Zona. I can't recall her surname now,
Coach
but
Zona, all right.
Coach Zona, yes.
All right. She was definitely a good coach for asking you the questions and allowing you to navigate the space to find the answers within you in respect to those particular questions. Because coaching is not about handing over answers and solutions to the client, but rather hand-holding and guiding the client to find the answers and the solution. Also looking at their own experiences of the past. And how they build into those experiences. So definitely, I'm happy to hear that. So what would you say is your biggest takeout from the ELIPS program?
So in terms of the content, for me, what was very useful is I've never seen myself necessarily as someone wanting to move into higher levels of responsibility. I enjoy specialization, which is where you find the safety. It's like, yay, I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable in that area. And the program, by using the staggered approach through the 5 modules, by looking at teams or self, then teams, then effectiveness, then performance, then moving it out, you could actually start seeing where you are missing or neglecting your own personal vision for where you see yourself. Because it's very easy to say, I'm just a public servant that's working my way up. But what is the plan that you have for you? What is the values that you bring to the system? How would that values influence your vision? What is the passion that you use to create the energy to empower or embody the actions that you want to bring into the system? So personal value for me out of that, the structure and the content was refocusing in terms of, okay, you're not just a number here. If you want to have impact, you need to create your space and own it. How are you doing that? Do you know yourself well? And what's the way that you're going to show up in the organization in that way?
And your message to the current cohort?
I would say take your opportunity and be courageous, because I know with our cohort, there was a little bit of feedback of there was only a few voices heard in the room. Now, why are you not one of those voices? Why are you not taking on the opportunity that you were given and the privilege that you have of being part of the cohort? So if you don't take up your own space, people are not going to call on you to say, "Hi, Jani, I want to hear your voice." You need to own that space and create your own agency.
Mm-hmm. And then I want us to move now into, you've spoken a little bit about your journey in the public service. When did you start and how has the journey been? And my sense is that you are enjoying your work currently that you are doing, and you are you are also learning so much and gaining so much from what you are doing. And you've also shared some information with some of the young people who are also public. So, I mean, we've had this discussion around the attitude, what attitude you bring and what you come out of that particular space. So I'm not going to spend more time on that, because I also want to give a little bit later an opportunity to those who may also want to speak directly to you, who are participants who are in the group, to be able to do so. But I want us to quickly jump to talk about professionalization. There's been a lot of talk about professionalization of the public service, a lot of work that we're doing around strengthening this building capacity of the public service, professionalizing the public service, improving ethics management in the public service, and etc. What comes to your mind when we talk about professionalization of the public service?
So the main thing that stood out for me in diving a little bit deeper into the framework was the idea behind making public service a profession. You are a public servant with a particular purpose, and you're buying into that purpose with your capability. And we want to build that capability to enable a more capable state. So I always feel, I know most of you have also possibly experienced that, where the stereotype of the public servant follows you, where they see you as not being engaged and you're just there because it's an easy job. We all hear that. And I always laugh and just stay quiet and be like, okay, so if it was for us, then what would you have? And I look forward to this also instilling a sense of pride in a public servant. You are here to serve the public, and people are seeing it. It's being noticed because it's being taken seriously. Linking back to what you said in terms of attitude, DG, we're not just here to pull a salary. We have an opportunity and are in the fortunate position to have that impact, to really link to how we experience services in the public, how we can make a difference and make that shift. So key elements of the professionalization that I found really interesting because it links to the type of work that I'm currently doing is moving public service away from political influence and focusing on the competence of the individual. How do we create that career pipeline for the individual coming into public service, building capacity where it's necessary and where it's useful, not just because there are courses. You can go to your local NSG or your department's training institution and go onto a random course, but really building the skill set for the use that you form part of in terms of the public service. And based on that, not only looking at do we fit in, but how do we fit into the service and add value to the service? But also, how do we add value to the service continuously? We don't stagnate. We don't stay the same. We continuously look forward. We continuously move towards higher levels of achievement, to higher performance through having measurable objectives that we work against for your own good. And that's something interesting that I saw with the design. You start with the individual where they are now, but we also look at where are they going? What do we want them to achieve? How do they buy into that, take ownership of it? Because it's very easy for you, DG, to tell me, I want you to get there in your career. But that's not going to help me if I'm not buying into it and seeing what I can bring and actually building on my skills and on my knowledge areas. So having that link to making this a profession to be proud of, that you keep being proud of, and you really add value in the way that you can, not just making it, I'm here for the job, I'm here to get a salary.
You've touched on a number of things, and one of the things you've touched on is the continuous improving of one's skill sets. And I get very sad when I see somebody stagnating in the public service, whether young or old, but especially the young people. A person joined in years ago with a diploma or a matric as an admin clerk or somebody at those levels, but not pushing hard to grow up the ranks and not pushing hard enough to get more experience and to get more qualification and more skills, because skills are very important as well. Qualifications, we can go to university and study all these degrees, but those degrees without a skill to execute, they become not very effective and useful in the public service. So you touching on a very important thing, and I do want to highlight that one of the good things that I found in government is that there is a bursary scheme for public servants, which should not discriminate and should be able to allow everybody an opportunity to participate. Of course, you have to apply, and it depends on resources available, and you should never give up when you want to improve yourself and to improve your qualifications or to improve your skills base. And I've also seen that you have studied up to a master's degree. And we always get criticized in the public service by people who I think do not understand the public service that much and its recruitment processes, that we do nothing, we are useless, and we do not have qualifications. So for me, it's very important that we stay a little bit on that specific area of qualifications, so that it's important that for people to know that we do not just bring people in the public service. We bring them because they deserve to be there and they meet the requirements to be to occupy those particular jobs. So I really liked what you are saying about that. the issue of skills development. But I want to hear you talking to those who say, you're in the public service, you are useless. In the public service, you are all uneducated, you are all politically connected, and you raise an issue about, you are saying we must move from political influence to focusing on competence of people. Please talk to us more about that.
So unfortunately, as a public servant, we can't separate the two, because ultimately there is the policies that are being created, the mandates that we follow are influenced by our political landscape. But for me, sometimes that gets lost. And obviously this might be the level that I'm also in and the scope that I have in terms of where things come. So DG, if you need to educate me, please do. But with the purpose of government, we always need to keep the citizen at the center of it. It shouldn't be games played to get there. It's not what I offer you versus what the other one doesn't. Currently, we're in the midst and the throes of elections are coming, so the messages are even more pronounced and the people are even more like passionate about the things that they promise us and the things that they want to deliver on. But for me, the public service needs to almost align to those visions, but it shouldn't be guided only by it. It still needs to focus on citizen centricity throughout. Even if the political landscape changes, what does our citizen need? Are we in tune with what they require? Are we responsive to what they need? Do we look innovatively at how we can differently apply frameworks and ideas to solutions to our country? Because let's face it, we are so diverse and there's such a different landscape in terms of services needed or services required. We can't constantly go where the money is. We can't constantly go where it's popular. Where are the citizens and what do they really need and what is our purpose in functioning there? So that's where I'm linking to the separation from political influence. Yes, it will always be there, but it shouldn't be the guiding light. It should be a nudge towards the same direction. It shouldn't take us away from that core vision of what does the citizen need and how do we best serve them with the resources that we are given.
You've just cut through the ethos of public administration. Serve, serve, serve people. People must be at the center of whatever that we do in government. You have put it so well that I have nothing to educate you. I have nothing to say beyond what you have said in relation to this matter. But also you are correct, Jani, that we can never be able to divorce public administration from politics. But we can still professionalize without depoliticizing the public service, because indeed we take mandates from governing parties at a particular time, and also the public policy process itself is deeply embedded in politics. You will not have a public policy that is effective without consultation, without bringing in inputs from different stakeholders, including those who are directly involved in politics or indirectly involved in politics. So there is a dynamic interface between the two, but what is important is that as public servants, we must not get into the mud of politics. We must know where our space starts and ends, and we must delineate roles and responsibilities. There is a role for politicians, there is a role for public servants, and it's not to depoliticize public service, but to professionalize it. So for me, I really have nothing to educate you in respect to that particular area. I think you have represented it very well. Thanks, Jani. And we talk about 30 years of democracy. And the president, I don't know if you listened, and I hope you did listen to the president, by the way, Sona, State of the Nation address, and he spoke a lot about Tintswalos, those young people who have benefited in democracy in many ways. And we've heard some of them telling their stories, be it in different political platforms or just platforms that are organized by various departments or various people who are in government and outside of government. What is your take on this concept of Tintswalos and what democracy has done for younger people?
So for me, DG, the tin swallow, I almost want to call it the metaphor that they use to describe what we're aiming towards. Is nothing, is something that we continuously need to strive to achieve. Because yes, we need to celebrate. There's been a lot of wins, there's been a lot of achievement and a lot of shift from how it has been to how it currently is, and the opportunities that are available to the youth and to all South Africans from 94 up until now. But listening to the president, he also acknowledged there's still a lot of challenges we need to address. So we can't only focus on what we're winning. Yes, we need positive psychology, as we did something and there has been an achieving aspect, but there's still a way to go. And for me, listening to or being part of the ELIPS program, which I see as part of the initiative, also linking into the professionalization of the public service, is one of the initiatives that we can continuously try to achieve this. We can't sit still and be satisfied. We need to be critical in our review of, yes, we're winning this, but what can we still do better? What are we not focusing on? What are other areas that we might need to think differently to achieve that everybody becomes a tin swallow, and it's not just singular people and pockets of our population that's experiencing that. So I see it as a state to still be achieved. It's something that's continuously shifting, and we need to almost revisit. Are we seeing the tin swallow narrowly and in certain defining aspects? Can it be adjusted and in seeing different opportunities and different ways that can be applied? And how can we change that vision and enhance that metaphor for all citizens, and especially the youth in the country?
I like what you're saying, because you're saying tin swallow is a journey, and all of us walk through particular journeys.
Yes.
It's not necessarily an end state, but it's a journey, and it's a positive journey. It's a promising journey that I think as many of us, and I'm no longer young, but I'm going to add myself, because I believe that I'm
young of heart, DG.
I'm young at heart, and I am Sisi Tinswalo. I started working just when democracy started, and I benefited in many ways in the new democracy and how things were done and the support that I've received. I don't think I would be sitting here and talking to you now as the DG of a Department of Public Service and Administration, being an African Black female occupying this particular role. For me, it says a lot about what our democracy has done for us. So I don't want to underestimate that, but I just want to say it's a journey, because out of the benefits I've had from this democracy, I must also open up space for others. So for me, that's why I'm very passionate about development programs targeting young people, because it's about opening up space for more and more young people they can hopefully benefit, and they're also able to invest to other young people, because I am where I am because many people invested on me, and most of them were people who were older than me, or people who saw something I didn't know even existed in myself, but they worked with me to unlock that. So for me, it's a very useful metaphor, and I like what you are saying, that it's not about the end state, it's about the journey. And it's a journey that we must all walk together, and some will fall off the journey. We must help them to stand up again and join the journey itself. I really like how you have characterized that specific area. Now, I promised you that we're going to come back to talk about the future of work. And I heard you taking quite a critical view on some of the ways that we do things in the public service and etc. And it's your opportunity now to basically just share with me how you think the work that you are doing contributes into the future of work in the public service, and what do you think the future of work in the public service would look like, from now going forward? Because I think there's lots of changes even taking place now.
Yes. So DG, that's a very loaded question, and we can have a very big discussion in terms of how how that can take place, because I'm sure you also have a few ideas that you're bringing into fruition through the policies that you're instilling as well. The current work that I'm doing and in the component that I am, the one project that I feel very passionate about is values-based leadership, which focuses on middle management and pulling it back to the values of the province and then also the country, to seeing how we can, let's say, create that culture of focusing on the citizens through the values that we embody. And this is something that's also exciting in how it aligns to the professionalization of the state, in that we are not here just because we are all different and we all can contribute different things. We are there for a collective purpose. But how do we contribute it in different ways? And another piece of work that I'm also part of in our component is designing technical competencies, which is a very interesting and intricate piece of work. And it links to the aspect of making, again, it measurable of where we need to find ourselves, but also linking to accountability, as in, this is why you are here. Are you attaining that standard? Are we keeping you to that standard? Can you improve? What are the opportunities available to you? And that's a very important part for me, that I feel in a process that's usually very subjective, recruitment and selection, where we get people into the state, where we employ people, where we make it as objective as possible and we focus on capability, where we're focusing on, are you good for the organization? Will you be contributing to the purpose? And if we need to have you contribute better, what are the opportunities that we can utilize? What are the opportunities that we can envision? Because now that also creates, again, if we need to look at performance management, more valuable discussions in terms of what are you doing? What can we celebrate you in? But also, what are the opportunities available of doing even more? And again, linking to that attitude that it's creating in you being a public servant. You're not just here because you're here. You're here because you want to be here. It's something that you're seeing as a purpose there. So for me, the changes envisioned, and this is maybe a passion vision for me, is looking at instilling that consistently throughout government, where there's no distinction between our province and your province, where we're just public service, where we're looking at, no matter where we're coming from, no matter who we are here to do the best job that we can, and we have the opportunity to improve that performance if we can. So that's what I'm seeing, this shift, and let's say the nudges of these types of frameworks, bringing it into the system, definitely.
Well, what else can I say? I think I've just found another gem in the system to help us fix a few things in the public service that we are busy with currently, especially around this work on technical competencies and around how we improve our performance management systems. We're doing some review work. So I've found another bright mind to bring along in terms of this particular work that we're doing. Thanks very much, Jani, for that. You keep on, that was meant to be my last question on the future of work, but I don't know if you can see the hearts. I'm sure the hearts are for you, not for me.
I see the reaction. I think it's for both of us. The hearts are for both of us.
Okay, we'll share the hearts. They are very encouraging, I must say.
Yes.
It means there's something we're doing right here in this conversation. It's talking to people. It's received very well. So you keep on talking about value-based approaches into, I guess, leadership and how we run institutions and etc. And I remember that I visited Western Cape. I had a meeting last year with the team, the leadership in the office of the Premier. And they presented to us all the good work they've been doing around working on competencies, working on improving accountability in terms of human resource and development matters and etc. So now I discover that you are the brains behind this work.
No, DG, I'm not the brains.
I hope I'm not
part of the
creating problems for you.
Yeah, I'm part of the machine. I'm part of the machine. I'm not the brains.
No, with your qualifications, you are the brains. Take it from me, you are the brains. There's other brains. It does not mean you are the only brains. There's
Yeah.
other brains. We acknowledge them, but now we're talking
Other
about
brains.
you. We are just
Understood.
gonna affirm you as the brains for now.
Thank you.
But and also they shared with us about taking some of the managers into values-based training, and now they are implementing. And then you are recognized as well by one of the international institutions around the work that you are doing around developing the people and etc. So I'm happy to put faces into this work. Thank you very much, Jani. I'm going to come back, but I want to open. We started at 10 and it's 10:41 now. So we spent 41 minutes chatting between the two of us. I want to open up to some of the people who are giving you hearts and vuvuzelas and clapping hands. If they want to say a word, they may ask a question to you, not to me, please. They may ask a question to you, or they may share whatever that they want to share, really. I'll take maybe about 5 hands or so, straight to the point, if you have a question or if you want to share something. And we have Saki, who is supporting us, who's going to help us with the hands. I see Chris Kanyane's hand is up. I see Sbongi Lembeleki's hand is up. And I'm going to give those two, and I will then, and then there's Ele Tumatwa. Guys, I always insist it's one round. Don't wait for other people to say something, then you come back. So if you want to say, you better raise your hand now. Dinile Sizwe, April, Mutsi, Mukhobo, that's the last hand I have. VJ Mchali, yo, Sanilisi Ntloko. Let's stop there and just give each one of us a minute to ask a question or say what you want to say. Remember, the questions are to Jani, not to you, Lisomakasi, hey? Chris, over to you.
Just before Chris speaks, DG, could Eletu please just switch off the mic? Eletu, please switch off your
Chris,
mic.
who must switch off the mic? Me?
No, Eletu, she's already switched off the mic. So
Okay.
Chris can carry on. Thank you.
Over to you, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you, Saki and DG. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here today with our esteemed DG in this great effort. For those who don't know me, I'm Chris Kanyane. I'm working strategic unit of the DPSA. Here in Jani's Inside today is a striking gold. It's like striking gold. These real-time stories are exactly the kind of fuel that we need to propel us forward as we move to the next phase of our democracy and the building of a capable state. And you and the ELIPS program are a breath of fresh air, a wind beneath our wings, really. It's invigorating to see your innovative thinking and fresh approach to public service. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate the love.
Thank you so much, Chris, for that. When I insisted on this program and asking for money and for budgets repeatedly, it's just because I thought that there's many young people that are hiding in the system that require our support. And Jani just demonstrating that. And I promise you, Betunana, it's not only Jani, there's more coming. We're going to have these conversations. We're just starting now. It's a series of conversations we are going to have as part of our celebration of 30 years of democracy. We thought that let's bring the young people in the public service forward. They must come and tell their stories. They must come and share with us. And of course, we are starting with the young people who are part of the ELIPS program, because there's work that has been done with those young people. The second one who was noted in that order was Sbongile.
Thank you,
Sbongile
DG.
Mbeleki.
Thank you, DG. My name is Sbongile Mbeleki. I am working in the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. Firstly, I must say to you, DG, for arranging this. I know you keep saying young people. Well, I'm also young at heart. Because from where I'm sitting, DG, I'm one of the dinosaurs that has been in the system. But hearing such a young mind, that inspires me even more. Jani, I had applied for master's in industrial psychology. And unfortunately, Eunice, I had some miscaps and technicalities. Then I couldn't get to the last round of choosing. Now you are inspiring me, especially when you talk about recruitment and selection. I am one of those managers who's a generalist. I hear you talk about specializing, but believe me, it's also very nice into one area, and we're able to touch in all areas to say, don't do that, don't do that. It will affect that. So I'm in that position where I am working. But I must say to you, recruitment and selection has always been one of the reasons why I wanted to push and do industrial psychology. And I haven't given up. I'm going to be an intern at 58, probably.
Do it.
But I will do. And I think government need people like that, DG, in the system. You look at things that happen, and I'm saying, why are we going out there to the systems that are out there instead of us doing this as industrial psychology? And be proud to be government employees. You are right, DG. We are all educated in the system. I've got MBL, DG, but people out there say we are uneducated. Jani, I really have already engaged Office of the DG. I need to talk to you. It's young people like you that we as dinosaurs, we want to get and be part of that bigger thing. Before we leave the system, let's leave a legacy also to the young people. We are appointing right now managers, and we're talking about professionalization. And then you look further down the years, and you look at the caliber of managers that we're appointing. But because we don't have a system to assess them ourselves to see, is this person good in talking and getting the higher mark in the interview? Or is this person competent to be a manager?
Exactly.
So those are things we have to look at in the professionalization. DG, I'm available. Use me. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
so much.
Spongile. And I hope my colleagues are listening who are running human resource development and management. Some of these ideas that are coming through, which requires us to go back to the drawing board all the time and improve in how we lead and guide the public service. I'll give you, Jani, to speak to all of them when you are let's just take a number of them to also speak. Dinilesizwe, April, over to you.
Good morning, DG. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right. Good morning, DG. Good morning, Jani, and good morning to the rest of the participants in this meeting. My name is Dinilesizwe. My surname is April, and I am currently working in Eastern Cape in the Department of Rural Development and Agrarian Reform. I'm working within the space of human resources development as an assistant director. And I recently started in this position last year in March. I've been based in Gauteng all my career. I started my career in Gauteng as an intern in the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. And then I was moving in various departments. So currently that's where I'm based. And my duties, I deal with development of all employees in the department, and that's my responsibility. Currently, I'm acting as a deputy director, and I'm part of this current cohort for the ELIPS program. And my question for you, Jani, is since now I'm a young manager, because I'm very I want to find out from you. So what advice can you give me as a practitioner in human resources development in ushering young people, that are finding it hard to get employed and also to graduate? Because remember, we also deal with graduates from universities that must do their programs in work interpreted learning. And it's a bit of a hassle in Eastern Cape for such young people to break into institutions so that they can complete their studies through in-service training or work interpreted learning. So what I want from you to share with me is, what advice can you give me as an HRD practitioner, specifically in that field? Thank you.
So Denisizwe, what
Please
I want to
note-
acknowledge is, oh, sorry, Yolisa.
Go
Sorry,
ahead,
Lisa.
go ahead, go ahead.
So Denisizwe, what I want to acknowledge is from your position, even though you are only starting into your middle management journey, don't underestimate your experience as it's a modeling of what can also happen and the experience that you've gained. Also being at the position that I am, I'm not currently a manager of people. I work a little bit more specialist in it, but from the perspective of let's say advice, it's all about the attitude that you bring to the situation as well. And I'm saying this with the understanding of the landscape we find ourselves in South Africa is very challenging. You get to that graduation stage, and then what? What now? Where's my opportunities? And something I experienced, because I'm not actually from the Western Cape itself, I'm a Northern Cape immigrant, is not to limit your options to a province where you are comfortable, or even to a specific component that you're comfortable, that you're familiar with. And to really think about, what do you want out of it? Do I just want to get that accreditation? Or what is the value that I want to get out of that accreditation? So it's a very open interpretation to Denisizwe in terms of the advice there. But the attitude is a very big thing that DG also mentioned throughout the session that would be impactful in terms of how you approach this, the vision that you set for yourself, and also the opportunities that you are willing to take on. Because something that we also notice nowadays, you don't want to settle for an opportunity because it's available. I want to go to the big position. I want to go to the big companies. But how can you build it in small ways? How can you maybe split your time and do it not only in one institution, but many of them? So that would be advice from my side, and I hope that helps, building onto your experience as well.
Thank you, Jani. The next one is Mutsi Mokhobo. Thank you, Denisizwe. Mutsi, over to you.
Hello, DG and Jani. My name is Mutsi Mokhobo. I'm 35 years now, this year. I've been in the government since all my life, because I got a I got a bursary. I was part of the top 5 in my district in 2006. Yeah, in my matric year. Yes. And you can imagine it was just because of my English. I didn't even think that English would give me a bursary to go to school. So I was in the top 100 here in Free State. So that's how I ended up getting a bursary. And I'm so happy because in this time, all this time, from 2006 until now, it's been challenging years. I've seen government. I haven't worked in the private sector, but I've been doing my school projects and things. So I had to go and work in other labs because I'm in the veterinary laboratory space. So it's so inspiring to have platforms like this where you can talk with people who are in those high positions and people who have learned so much. So I would just like to say I'm so inspired. Now I started working there in the lab in Free State Agriculture in 2010 as a student. 2011 they appointed me, and then in 2016, boom, I got a promotion. I didn't even think I'll get it because there were people who had so much experience and, so I learned a lot from that time until now, because that time when I started, I was working on level, I think level 8. Now I'm on level 10. Now I'm the manager there at that level. But every day you learn new things. So I would just like to thank David for making this webinar happen. Thank you so much. I feel like I don't even know what to say. I'm happy. But let me ask my question because I can talk the whole day now. My question is, this thing of a performance management is what PMDS is. We've been doing it since I started working there where I work, but I don't really understand maybe what is the reason for it, because it's just being done, but people, the management, it's like people get blamed. I don't know how to put it. If you don't achieve some of the targets, and most of the time the resources are not there. Yes, we are trying so hard, but especially the human resources to be achieving those targets and actually being able to compete with the private sector, because that's what we want now. We want the government labs to be in that quality, level, even if we don't have other things. But I would just like you to advise or maybe answer me this performance management thing. Why is it so? I think it's made to be difficult. When you read the frameworks and things, you can understand, but the actual reality of it's not what's written there. Is there something you can advise us to maybe do to improve? Because people hate that system because they feel like we are always being blamed, or we don't even understand the system itself. Even me as a manager, I cannot be confident and say to you, I really understand. So I have to be able to explain to people all these things every year. You can imagine the stress. It's now gonna be time for PMDS. People already, the attitude is changing. I wish we could cancel that system because I don't see it improving or the performance being managed, or maybe I don't understand. Can you enlighten me, maybe make me understand, or tell me something that what can we do to make it work? I don't know if my question is clear enough. But I
Yep.
like
So I would actually want to ask you, are you asking DG to elaborate, or do you want me to give my perspective?
She's asking you.
Anyone.
She's asking you.
Anyone.
Anyone. Okay, so
Yeah,
DG, please from your understanding in terms of public administration, to see by all means, I'm not an expert in performance management specifically.
Okay.
We do a part of the work that should be filtering into how it's utilized. And from the purpose of the PMDS system is again to break performance down and making it measurable. And it's almost like a check-in of where do we find ourselves. Are we doing the work that we should? If we're not doing the work that we should, how can we do it better? And unfortunately, it is a lot of the time it's being used as a tick box exercise or as an exercise of blaming. But to pull it back to the purpose with your employees, I would say would be the most valuable in terms of recontracting with your employees to say this is not a beating stick, but a measuring one. So let's see what we have, voice your challenges. If it's challenges in the system, they can't influence it there on their own. That needs to be addressed at a higher level, needs to be acknowledged as well. So for your interest, I would actually go and explore what the PMDS system would mean to you as well if it's used correctly, because it is there to enable, it is there to capacitate, it is there to help us understand and better, not necessarily to be a disciplinary element of, oh, you didn't do X, Y, and Z, and this is what's going to happen to you. That's not the intention from my understanding. Maybe DG, if you want to add from a let's say a broader purpose perspective. That's my understanding. And
thank you.
So in Xhosa we say uyitye yonke, which means you've said it all. I don't have to say anything, Jani. You've said it all. You've clarified it perfectly. So I'm going to thank you, Motsi, for that question. I'm going to take the next person, Shedrack Ramatsila, and the last person will be Sanelisi Wentloko, in that order. Shedrack, over to you.
You can just unmute yourself, Shedrack.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, DG. Good morning, Jani.
Morning.
Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, well, Jani, you've said a mouthful, and thanks for highlighting all the important facts and points that you have already alluded to. And then I want to comment on the part where you commented about making or reducing the political influence in government personnel and focusing more on repurposing it towards a meritocracy. And, you know, I was listening to the radio last night, and they were talking about the brain drain that it's happening. Like South Africa is losing critical skills, and I thought this is I found it a bit sad. So we might know, or perhaps I can say perhaps it could be important that the reasons that motivates people to go outside the country, spread their wings to externally, should be looked at. The reasons should be looked at, and perhaps we should as South Africa look into what could be done to ensure that people increase their love for South Africa, because I believe that South Africa, we are what is lacking of our country to become a better country, because it cannot be that we always seek to grow other countries and then leave our own indigenous country to be a developing country or a small country, or to always be lacking. So I don't know, I just wanted to hear what's your take in this brain drain thing, and perhaps also the DG can maybe just comment if possible. And then I also wish to commend the DPSA for the ELIPS program and for upholding it. I'm also a participant in the current cohort, and I feel lucky to be part, and I really wish to appreciate, because this has opened my eye, and it also increased my love for South Africa. And you know, I wish I had appropriate words, but thanks a lot.
We feel you, trust me. I'm going to ask Sanelisiwe to say something. You are the last one, be brief. And then, yeah, we're moving towards closure now. I don't want to keep you here for more than an hour, guys. You must go back and work.
Good morning, Ms. Jani, as well as DG, Ms. Mamuyoliswa Makasi. Thank you so much for facilitating this beautiful webinar. I think it was a great learning experience for me. As a recent graduate, I just wanted to know, like, what advice would you give somebody as young as me who's straight out of school and just doesn't know, like, where to look first? And like, yes, you're applying all these different posts and circulars going around, and you apply, but you just sometimes you don't hear anything, but it's just it defeats you, and it makes you feel discouraged, like, why am I not hearing any feedback? So like, what advice would you give somebody who wants to start off their career in the public sector, and what steps to take?
Okay, so suddenly sees where something that
Just
I can
before,
resonate with.
Jani,
Oh, sorry, DG.
Just before you speak, I wanted to acknowledge somebody. I was told that we have the Deputy Minister in the presidency, Deputy Minister Pinky Kekana. I don't know if she's still with us. DM, are you still with us? if you can unlock her, guys.
I'm
If she's
still there, yes.
Ooh,
I'm
yes.
hearing
How are
you.
you, DM?
I'm fine. I'm hearing young brains there and very inspiring issues from our public servants. And I've been with you ever since we started, eh?
Oh my
It's
goodness.
good feedback.
How did you get here, DM?
You're cutting. What's happening?
Am I cutting?
No, I got an invite through you. I got this on WhatsApp, and I said, "Hey, what an honor!" Yeah.
Oh wow. Thank you so much,
you.
DM. I hope we can also bring you in one day to really share in detail with the young people. You know, they're talking about inspiration here, and inspiration is not only for the young people, even for the older ones. So we would like to make sure that they get as much inspiration, or we get as much as inspiration, because I also need it myself. So thank you, DM, very much. You've always been very supportive, and for showing up today, we appreciate that.
Thank you, DG, and thanks to our guest today. She's doing wonders, eh? Thank you, my dear.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for listening and joining. So to get back to
Okay, over to you, Jani.
There we go. I hope I'm still on. My Wi-Fi is giving me a message, so I hope you guys can still hear me. So Sandelisizwe, in terms of your question, something I can personally resonate with is that lack of feedback that you get in the beginning. You're applying, you're taking ownership of the process, you're getting a little bit despondent because, oh, why am I not hearing anything? Where am I going from here? And something that I can personally also recommend is be a little bit of a nuisance. It sounds terrible to say it that way, but asking is free. You can check in with the people and ask, like, you've applied to this, what is the process, and ask for feedback. If you're not getting callbacks or they're not giving you any indication of what's happening in the process, you are entitled to ask, and they can give you that information if they are open to it, if they should actually be open to it. But that would be a starting point for me. And being a graduate, you said you're straight out of school, if I heard you correctly. So understanding the component where you may be joined, is that where you want to be? Is it informing maybe possibilities for studying further, opportunities for other activities? So kind of getting to know, like, okay, I'm applying, but why am I applying? What is the reason for me? Is it just to get a job, or is it making or carving a career path for myself in terms of moving forward and where I'm seeing myself in the future? I hope that's useful, Sandelisizwe.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Ms. Jani. I think I'll take that advice further with me, and I'll have a more positive attitude. Thank you.
I can understand the positivity leaves us after a while, so don't be too hard on yourself. It's just getting into it again and what you can do versus what you can't.
And I just wanted to ask one more thing. I understand that when I'm applying, I'm supposed to be filling in a Z83 form. I just wanted to know why within the government departments is it that not all of them have a system in place where they are facilitating it online, so you can put the details online. How are they able to process all the different documents so that they can ensure that they've gone through every single one of them? Because with the applications, you find that you are sending the email to whoever's in charge of that particular post, but then how are they ensuring that they get through every single, what if they have 50,000 applications? How do they know that they are going to be able to go through each and every single one of them and not miss them? But when you have maybe a human resource information system, that automated system is able to pick up on certain things. So how is it, if I may just ask, how does this work?
Okay, so from that, EG, maybe you can answer, because again, I'm not a system expert. Or
you come from a province where you've fully automated everything, so We are working on this, Sanelisiwe. It's taken slightly longer than expected because of other challenges that we have experienced with some of the systems that government had brought in, and we are working on it. It's something that is in our purview, and hopefully soon we will have an entire automated process for the public service. But for now, some departments have already automated, but some are not automated. I know, for instance, that some provinces like the Western Cape, which Jani is coming from, is fully automated in terms of recruitment. It's not the only province, others as well, like, yeah, other provinces as well are automated. I don't need to explain to mention them by name. I'm mentioning Western Cape because Jani is here and is from the Western Cape. So we're working on that, Sissy. We understand it's also we have a lot of inefficiencies in the system because we do not have an automated system, a digital platform that can help us with that. And so you will have to find that Z83, fill it up, and then send it by email. And I also wanted to say to you that don't overlook the opportunities for internships, because internships actually is a pipeline into the public service. You would hear with some of the interviews we are going to do if you join again, that most of the people who are in the system have started as interns before. Thank you very much for your questions, Anelisiwe.
Thank you, DG, for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are done. I'm not coming back to you guys with who wants to come back, because we were scheduled to finish at 11. So I want your supervisors to be able to come back, to allow you to come back when we have the next session, which will be on a date to be issued soon in April. And so if you can forgive me for not allowing you to come back and to speak, I'll appreciate that. But I still want to have Jani have the last word. And I just want you, Jani, to tell me as your last word, what is that one thing that you think we're doing well in the public service? And what is that one thing that you think we must improve on in the public service?
So DG, you already gave me this to think about a little bit since we last spoke. And something that I think we do well as government that we can applaud ourselves is the policies that are created are focused on needs. It's not just frivolous. Something that we can improve on is the responsiveness with which we action these policies and how they're rolled out. And I know government is a massive machine. It's not something we can just say, oh, tomorrow we do something differently. But yeah, so the area of improving is maybe responsiveness to direct service delivery, where we put things into place to action certain elements to support certain area or components of our population, but then it's almost too late, or it's not there yet, or it's something that's not as targeted anymore. So that's the two things that I can say I take away from that.
Thank you so much, Jani. From my side, guys, I really just want to say thank you. We were trying something, but the feedback that you are giving us is so encouraging. We're going to be back with another young person who's going to be sharing their own experiences in respect to whatever their field of work is, but still in the public service. Thank you so much, guys. I truly enjoyed this. And we've agreed with my team in the office that we will do an hour. And already today, I have gone beyond by 15 minutes, but it's not me, it's you. And and I want to thank the team that is behind this, because there's people behind this. There's Saki from communications, who is moderating from the back office there. There is also the team in my office led by Prince, who is an intern that we have in the office, and he's running with this program. And I just want to say that thank you guys so much. Prince is not working alone. Yo, they will kill me, these ones in the office. Prince and everybody in the office. But Prince is the project manager. Of course, he's being supported. And thank you very much, guys. I am personally very excited. I think that we've achieved more than we have bargained for, Jani. And thank you so much, Jani. And I hope the Cape of Storms are kind to you.
Thank you so much, DG, and thank you again for the opportunity and the privilege for representing the previous cohort.
Thank you. I will give feedback to your DG that you've been very well behaved. Thank you very much. And I will send him a link to watch. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys.